Recording. Okay, so today's workshop will be on Nearpod. I know some of you were familiar with Nearpod or have used it in the past. Nearpod has since then updated a lot of its features to make it a lot more user-friendly and more interactive. So I will share my screen. I just ask that everybody please stay muted. Again, because yesterday we had a lot of interference with sounds and it was hard. I kept breaking up. So just please be mindful of keeping the sound muted. So. Okay, so getting started with Nearpod. So Nearpod in the classroom. So for those of you that are not familiar with Nearpod, I explain what it truly is, what kind of platform we can use it, and how to use it in your classroom. Okay, just move this. Okay, so what is Nearpod? Okay, Nearpod is an instructional platform that merges formative assessment and dynamic media for collaborative learning experiences within your classroom. Okay, so it truly is a great platform that is very interactive, and it really does great things. Once you get used to playing around with it, it really can become very fun. Okay. It is also an interactive presentation that can be displayed on a smartboard or personal digital devices. So basically, each presentation is given a unique code that students use to access, which means no need to have to remember usernames or passwords. The presentation can be a mixture of different slides consisting of textual information. You can have polls, quizzes, videos, drawing activities, short answers, fill in the blanks, multiple choices, websites, etc. Nearpod actually allows you to do so many things with your lesson. It's, it can be so interactive in so many different ways. So it's really up to you how you would like to include the different types of questions or ways of showing the material to the students. So there's a lot of possibilities with Nearpod. Okay. The nice thing about it is that you can just give me 1 second. Somebody is not muted. Okay. So,
he's messing with him.
Just give me
he wanted him to do something where we're not sure if a 5 or 5-year-old will tell something, But the little kid there,
I have to stop sharing. All right, so I please ask that you stay muted at all times, especially if you're having a side conversation. It's not fair to the participants in here, and I please ask that you stay muted unless you're asking a question. So please be respectful of everyone that is on here, because it really, I have to stop in order to mute everybody again. It doesn't allow me to mute people from the presentation mode. If you can't hear me, can someone let me know if you're able to hear me? Okay, so thumbs up, people. Okay.
I can hear you.
So if you're not able to hear me, you might need to log off and log back on, Maria, so that you can, and check your audio. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So please be mindful and respectful of the other teachers that are on here, because it's kind of distracting if you're having a side conversation and we're trying to do the presentation. Okay. I don't want to be rude. I'm trying not to be rude, but I really want to be respectful of everyone. So I just ask that you please mute yourself. All right, so there's a ton of possibilities with Nearpod. And the nice thing that I love about Nearpod is that there are over 7,500 pre-made standards aligned lessons for all K-12 subjects. So yes, there is subscriptions for Nearpod, but it is free. So you can still do the free stuff with your students. There's a ton of parts to the Nearpod that you can actually use for free. So there's the silver, which is the free. I will show you the different
Have them lined up. Sure, those are enough tests. Is it a representative sample?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. So the other thing is that you can also upload any of the materials that you have if you want to, and I'll show you that. At the end, I'll also show you the different subscriptions that you can possibly have if you wanted to really invest into Nearpod, but we do have free stuff that we can use for the time being, and you can still use Nearpod to a certain extent for free. So the nice thing about it also is that you can assign self-paced lessons students can access at any time, okay? Students can complete assignments independently while you gain insights into students' understanding with post-session reports. You can easily integrate this with Google Classroom, right? So that's another great feature that Nearpod has, is the ability for us to integrate it with our Google Classroom. There's synchronized learning through live instruction. So basically what that means is that you can easily synchronize and control live lessons across all of your student devices. So you can seamlessly use your favorite web conferencing platform for distance learning settings. So basically, like I'm doing now, I would use WebEx, and we can present the lesson to the students, and we can easily control the lesson, all at one time, and all of the student devices. So the nice thing too is that it allows for, it fuels the connection, right? One of the things that we're going to struggle with is really getting that connection with our students, especially if we're not live in the classroom with them. So using Nearpod will allow you to really engage in a sense of community with the students in your classroom through the web, okay? Literally, you can make and design collaborative activities like creating a poll for your students, doing boards, game-based quizzes, and basically they'll be very seamless, and it's a great learning experience to make it a little bit more interactive and engaging for your students, especially because we're not going to all be in the classroom. And even if we are in the classroom, we have to be mindful of whether we're going to be using a lot of paper-based stuff, right? So this is something that we need to think about. Even if we are there, we're not going to be really passing out materials like we did before, because we're supposed to be keeping our 6 feet distance and be safe. So these are some of the things that we also need to think about come September. Like, how are we going to present our material? We might still have to be using Google Classroom and Docs and all of those other platforms, even if we're in school, because some of us are not going to be wanting to collect or feel comfortable collecting a paper from a student. So we have to think about those things as well. All right, so to really get started, you need to create an account, right? So Nearpod offers various account levels, each providing different perks, right? So the silver account, which is free, and this is what you can use as something for free, right? It allows you to create lessons. And it includes formative assessments in those lessons. So this is a way that you can use Nearpod without having to really invest into the subscriptions, right? So, however, the only thing that it does not allow you to do in the Silver account is that it doesn't allow you to add websites, the videos, or the games, okay? And the other features that is not available in the Silver account would be your virtual tours. Okay, so if you have the money to invest or would like to invest into Nearpod and you see that it's really beneficial, something that you think you could actually use in the classroom and you're willing to invest the money, then the Gold account actually allows you to do virtual tours, which can take you to pyramids, Mars, or everywhere. And the awesome thing about it is that it allows you to do 3D images. And this is also great for if you're teaching a science class and you're studying the human body. The students can actually, from their devices, see 3D images of things that you are teaching. Unfortunately, this only comes with the Gold account, right? I don't know if Nearpod will be doing something in September because of distance learning or however we go, but for the time being, you can still use it in the sense of all of the free things that you would get with the Silver account for free. So although, the 3D images would be amazing and doing virtual tours would be too, I still think we can get the most of Nearpod with the free access that we get. So this is how you would create your account with Nearpod. So basically, I have linked it here in the Google Slides. So you can click this link here, and it will take you to the Nearpod website. You would click sign up for free, right? And then you would click on sign up with Google. Again, it's going to, I would recommend using the Google instead of an email or a password because it does this way. It avoids you having to remember another email or another password for yet another website. So signing in with Google allows you to just seamlessly, just to get on and not have to worry about what password you used or didn't, okay? And then basically what you're gonna do is follow the prompts to create your account. It's really very easy to follow it. And then after you've created your account, you're ready to start creating your first Nearpod lesson. And this is what you're gonna see when you click the link to sign up. Okay. So once you get onto the Nearpod website, so yes, Nearpod is already an add-on on Google Slides. So you will still have to create an account, even though it's an add-on. Just like when we did with Peer Deck, you also needed to create an account to be able to use it. It's already as an add-on, but you need to create your account. Okay. And I'll explain what the add-on is different from the actual Nearpod website. I actually explained that in my slides today. So one of the things that I recommend you doing once you are logged into Nearpod and you are on the website, explore the lessons that are already there for you for free. There's a ton of lessons that are free there. So if you are looking for engaging lessons for your students and you don't really have time to reinvent the wheel, there's so many lessons there for free. You can really search, set your filters by grade, by content. There are some lessons on there that you would have to pay for, but again, look for the free ones. There's a ton of them. I explored all of its library myself, and there's really a ton of free lessons that are very engaging and interactive, and they're really fantastic. So it's just a matter of you exploring what Nearpod has. So how can you use it to increase your engagement in your classroom? Whether you're in the classroom or doing virtual, this is how you could make it more engaging, right? So I listed some ways to integrate Nearpod into your lessons. So one way would be you can assess prior knowledge using Nearpod to collaborate by using its collaborate or poll feature. So before you begin a lesson, you can create a poll or use the collaborative feature on there where you would pose the questions to the students and they would collaborate on that question before you even begin the lesson. And then to activate their background knowledge, you can use any one of these features that I have listed here. You can label a diagram, you can give them a quiz, a matching game, fill in the blank, memory test, or open-ended questions. So this is some of the features that you can use to activate their background knowledge. So basically, think of Nearpod as if you were doing the lesson in your class, but using Nearpod. You can really break down the lesson to be that specific so that it becomes a lot more engaging and not so like here I'm talking and you listen, right? And then here's some other ways to increase their engagement. So to engage your students and deepen their understanding of the subject matter, Nearpod can do this for you in some ways that you may not be able to in the classroom. Now, some of these features, unfortunately, are only with the gold account. Like Nearpod does the 3D, right? Students need an up close and personal look at things. This isn't always available in classrooms, but with technology, it is possible. Don't have microscopes in your classroom? Students can use this feature to get a closer look at a plant or animal cell, bacteria. Teaching human body systems. They can get 360 view of the circulatory system, among others. So I just gave you, some examples of how the 3D feature in Nearpod can work in your classroom, whether you're in the classroom or outside. So again, I'm not saying that you should purchase it by all means. I just wanted to let you know what the program has, what are its features, so that you can decide what would work best for you. But the silver is perfect enough for us to have it used in the classroom for free, okay? The field trips, we won't be able to do field trips this year, right? Those are one of the things that sometimes students look forward to all the time, right? And unfortunately, we won't be able to do that. So field trips are fun and they're costly, difficult to plan, and you may not line up with your curriculum, right? So the nice thing about having the gold account is that you can do field trips and basically the students can attend. You don't need to worry about permission slips. You don't need to worry about all that other stuff, making sure that it's aligned to your curriculum. Basically, the field trips allow students to gain an up close and personal look at different areas that otherwise they would not be able to view because we're not going to be able to do those things. And then the other feature is the BBC Worldwide, which is friendlier than YouTube. It offers videos on the environment and living species as well as health. So that feature would be great for your science. And then you have the assessment piece that comes with Nearpod. So to assess the student knowledge, you can incorporate any of the strategies like that I have mentioned above. You can include a multiple choice quiz for students to take that will allow you to assess their knowledge of what you have taught them. And this can actually help you to determine which direction you need to take in your next lesson or unit, depending on, what type of lesson you're doing. So you can create your own Nearpod, and I'm going to give you the steps to create your own Nearpod lesson, or you can just use the lessons that are in the library to really get a feel for how the lessons are designed, and then you can go into creating your own. So if you are ready to create your own Nearpod lesson, you have a few options. You can create Nearpod presentations through the Create feature on the dashboard page. And what this allows you to do is to upload files from your computer, such in a PNG, PDF, or PowerPoint. and basically to create a presentation or individual slides. You can also create Nearpod lessons through your Google Slides add-on, which somebody mentioned before about it already being there. So you can actually use one of your Google Slides lessons and actually then embed some Nearpod slides into your lesson that you already created. All right, so these are the step-to-step directions to create your very first Nearpod lesson. So I really broke it down step by step of what you would need to do to create your very own lesson. So if you ever forget how to do it, or you don't know the exact steps, you can always come back to this presentation and look at the steps, because I really broke it down on what you would need to do to create the lesson. And then I will show you my Nearpod account at the end to show you what I've done so far. Okay, so basically you can begin. If you're going to create your Nearpod lesson, I would create it from the Nearpod account, from your nearpod.com. Again, make sure that you're signing in with your Google account. Once you're logged in, you're going to click on Lesson in Nearpod in the box that says Create Your Own. So I have it here, circled, Lesson in Nearpod. And then you also, from here, you have Lesson in Google Slides and its newest feature, video, which I'll talk about that later. Okay. The next thing that you're going to do is, once you click that, you are going to click on Add Slide in the new screen, which is this option here. So if you see here, it also allows you to drag and drop any of these 3 different files if you wanted to. Okay. But this is if you're going to create, this is what you would do. The next thing that you're going to do is, once you click Add a Slide, a new window will pop up, right? And you're going to add content. You're going to click the Add Content, will allow you to add slides like a PowerPoint. Add Activity will let you add questions, visuals, and more. So here's the content and here's the activity. So I'm going to create activities. So these are all the things that you can add to your Nearpod lesson, right? The next step you're going to do is, once you get to the activity screen, this screen will now show the different activity options. Open-ended questions allow students to type in responses to a question. Matching pairs allows students to match cards, such as words and definitions. Quiz allows students to answer multiple choice questions. Matching pairs allow students to match words or letters to pictures. But for this example, I said, let's create an open-ended question. So I would click open-ended question. So I just got a question from a teacher. This connects with Flipgrid, yes, and I will go over that feature throughout the presentation. So here is, when I clicked on open-ended, it's going to take me to this screen here. So the next thing you would do is type in your open-ended question on the new screen, then hit save on the right bottom. Okay, so here's the save. I circled everything for you so that you know exactly what you can do. You can add a timer to this question if you wanted to. You can add a video to this open-ended question if you wanted to as well. Okay, so those are just some options that you have when creating this Nearpod lesson. And again, this part is for free. You have the option of creating this lesson for free. Okay. The next thing that you need to do is you have to click where it says Untitled Lesson to change the name to the topic, so that it saves it under the specific name that you want it to save. So as you can see, I already have that one question here when I created it. The next thing that I want to do is I want to add more questions to my Nearpod lesson, right? So the next thing I did with my example was to add a multiple choice question. So I'm going to click on new slide again, and then I'm going to select activity. And then this time I selected quiz. Does everyone understand what I've done so far? I don't want to move on if we have some questions. So if you need anything or are not understanding, please let me know. So once I click quiz, it's going to take me to the quiz question to create and generate a quiz question. So I typed in a multiple choice question on this slide. And in order to add more answer choices, I click add an answer if I wanted to add more than the ones that I already have there. And then just please make sure that you select the correct answer by selecting the check mark next to it. So whichever.
Question.
Yes.
Can we copy and post diagram on the platform?
Can you put a diagram? You would have to pick a slide that has a diagram.
Okay.
So I'll show you. So here's my multiple choice question. I gave them 3 options. And if you can see here, I actually picked which was the correct answer. And then once I do that, I click save again. So to make sure that I save my question and I save the response. You also have the option of adding media, video, or audio instructions, especially if your students still don't really know how to read yet, or you're afraid that, you know, this is a lesson that is being done independent. You might want to add the audio for those students that, you know won't be able to read every word. Okay, so you have that option there as well. And then the next thing is you're going to continue to add a few more questions to your lesson and any other slides that you wish, right? It's totally up to you how long you want the lesson to be or short. And then once you're done creating all of your questions, you're going to return to the home screen and you're going to click on save and exit. Okay, because you're done with your lesson, you want to save it. So you're going to save and exit, and this will prompt another screen to enter the grade and subject. So here I have my lesson details. I pick the grade that it's for and the subject. And then again, I have to click save and exit. So for every Nearpod lesson that you create, you're going to get these prompts to save what grade level it's for and what subject. Okay. Now, once you're done creating your Nearpod lesson and you're ready to present, the next thing, your lesson goes into your library, right? So when you're in your library, you're going to hover over the lesson. And once you do that, it's going to give you 3 options. Now, Nearpod has embedded Zoom into it, but because we can't use Zoom, we have to pick the live participation if we're going to use Nearpod with, I know, I know it's sad we can't use Zoom, but we have to work with what we have. So we would have to pick the live participation if we're going to use this with our students. So the live participation is teacher paced. You control how fast or how slow the students will go, right? That's free to us. And then there's the student paced options, which I believe is only with the gold account. So once you click live lesson, it's going to open up this screen right here, right? So unfortunately, we can't use it to create a Zoom meeting, but once we get the code, basically it's going to give us the code that we need to give to our students for them to be able to join you. So you can control the presentation from your laptop or your phone, because Nearpod does have an app. So if the students don't have access to a Chromebook at the time, or if they have to share a device, but they have a smartphone, they can actually download the Nearpod app for free, and they will be able to join and complete your lesson with you. Okay, and then basically you can share this code by emailing it, copying the link, posting it on Google Classroom. So you have these options here. And then the screen on the students' phones will also change once you log into the application. Okay, so when on your side as a teacher, I wanted to show you what you're going to see. So when you start the live instruction on your side, this is what you will see. Your code, you'll see the student list, and then here you'll get something saying waiting for students to sign in. So as the students log into your Nearpod lesson, they will be appearing here on this screen, and their names will be here. You can also hide student names, okay, if you want to. All right, so I have actually included, once you go onto the presentation later on today, I have actually included a Nearpod lesson that was created by the Limitless Classroom. She is actually created this free Nearpod lesson that you can use. All right, you would just have to click on the link and it will add it to your Google Drive. So if you click on here, oops, it takes you to her teachers account, and then you can just download it and it will be added to your Google Drive. Okay.
Excuse me, Sylvia.
Yes.
Once you made the Nearpod lesson live, as a teacher, are you actually in two platforms, Nearpod and Cisco Web?
Yes.
Okay, and the students as well?
Yes, the students would have to be as well.
Okay.
That's why if they don't know how to navigate to Windows at one time, you can tell them, to put it on a phone if they have a phone option, so that they can do the activity on their phone and still have the web page open so that they can communicate with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Does the lesson save only for me, or does it go into the lesson bank for? No, it saves only for you, unless you are sharing it for people on the platform. So this is what she has created. It's a free lesson. I would go on there and actually download it. It's really good. It has collaborative lessons on here, and it's free, right? So I would download it, play with it. You can actually edit the questions that she has if you would like to, once you make the copy into your Google Drive. Okay, so I wanted to give you that option because it is free, and it's a nice lesson that you can use at the beginning of the year to kind of build relationships amongst your students. Even if you are in the classroom, I think it's a great way for us to integrate that relationship with our students, especially because they're not going to be able to be moving around like they used to. It's a nice way to build a relationship, an activity for you to do at the end. Yeah, you can use it, just modify the questions, Yolanda. The questions that are there might not be easy enough for your students to use, so I would just edit the questions, but you can definitely use it. All right, so I wanted to explain the difference between a live lesson and a student-paced lesson, right? There's two different. I believe that the student-paced only comes with the gold account. I have to double check, but I will show you when I show you the different pricings. So the live lesson, the two modes that you have, you can display the presentation as a live lesson or the student-paced. Using the live lesson allows the teacher to control everything. So you're basically controlling the movement of the slides, so the students can't go ahead, they can't, and they have to complete the activity without, they can't just move on. So you control everything. You control the pace, you control when you're gonna stop, you're gonna control when you're gonna talk about a specific slide or question that you post to the students, right? So this is great I would always do a live if we're doing an introduction lesson, right? And you really want students to focus in on your instruction. The student pace allows students to work independently on the presentation. They would go on their own pace. They could, and basically, it's great if you're doing a review of information or to differentiate learning for students that need that extra help on a topic. One of the pitfalls to this version is that students, are going to need headphones or may need headphones if you have videos embedded in the presentation, so that especially if they are working, whether they're working at home or whether they are working in the building, right? If they're working at their own pace, you want them to be able to not be distracted by other students and wherever they are in the lesson. Okay. The live lesson, does it work like WebEx? Yeah, it works just like WebEx. All right, so to get started, so once you've added the lesson to your library, you can launch it by choosing the live lesson button. You'll receive the code on your screen to share with your students. So even with pre-K, you can do Nearpod lessons with the pre-K students. And that's why I like Nearpod, is because you really can differentiate as little as the pre-K. What I recommend though is to use a tablet as opposed to using a computer for the little kids, because the touchscreen actually makes it easier for them to explore the content that you share with them. So the nice thing about, and it takes time even for kindergarten because they don't know all the letters on the screen or where to find them. So make it into a game, like do a letter hunt with the kids for them to find the letters, and you can give them hints as they go and type in the code. Like look at the top row of your keyboard, or look in the middle, or it's next to this letter. So that basically will help them really find the letters that they need to add to join the class. And then basically once they've entered the code on their screen, they'll be asked to enter their name, and then typing or spelling their name might be also a challenging task for some of the early learners. So what I would recommend doing for our little guys that still don't know, maybe just putting their first initial, the first letter to their name, right? If you have more than one person with that same letter, then maybe the first and second letter to their name. Kind of like to really help them not, be frustrated as well. So, well, yeah, I would say for high schoolers, yeah, it could be because they would probably pick an inappropriate name, but I would recommend, letting them know off the bat that they can't put inappropriate names, that they would have to put their name. Okay, so this is where someone mentioned about the add-on for Google Slides. So I wanted to let you know it is there already. It should be, if you go onto your Google Slides, Nearpod is as an add-on already, okay? So you can now embed your favorite Nearpod activities directly within your Google Slides presentations. You even have the ability to collaborate with others. So how you would collaborate with others is by basically sharing the slide with a colleague, and both of you can work on that presentation together at the same time. So that's how you would collaborate on your Google Slide presentation. So this is why I said you can actually now have your Google Slides that you already created. Let's say you have a lesson that you really liked, but you would like to make it a little bit more interactive and engaging. Now just use the Nearpod add-on to make it that much more interactive, okay? So when you open up your Google Slides presentation and you go to add-ons, get add-ons, we don't need to do that because Nearpod is already there, okay? And then you're going to choose your Google account and you're going to allow Nearpod to access Google Slides. With a Nearpod add-on, you can embed your favorite Nearpod activities and features directly from Google Slides. And you don't even have to go onto the Nearpod website to create or to already, make your slides a little bit more engaging, right? You have the flexibility and robust power of Google Slides to create beautiful and engaging slides directly on Google Slides. And then again, the great feature is that you could collaborate with colleagues when creating lessons, especially if you're working with a special needs teacher or you have a bilingual teacher, right, that works with you as well, or an ESL teacher. Working together on a lesson is great. I always felt that one of the biggest things that I always strive for is to collaborate well with my colleagues and really to work together on helping each other design the lesson.
Sylvia, I noticed on the add-ons that you were mentioning, because while you're teaching, I'm looking at the same time on the application to help me. I'm noticing when you look at the add-ons on the slides, it also not only has on it the extensions for Nearpod. When you go to Google Slide and it says add-ons, it also has the Peer Deck.
Yes, it has both.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I just looked at it, but then others I'm not familiar with. Grackle Slide, Equation Editor, and Xenia. So, but at least Nearpod and Peer Deck, about what you shared about, I just know it was on there.
Yep, they're both on there. So you can easily access Peer Deck or Nearpod into an already pre-existing Google Slides lesson without even leaving Google Slides. So this is what you're gonna see when you open up the Nearpod from your Google Slides, right? So here's my example of what my screen would look like. I would click on add-ons, the Nearpod, and then click open Nearpod for me to open up the Nearpod slides or to create my slides in Nearpod. Okay, so how to launch, let me make sure I didn't skip anything. How to launch your Nearpod lesson, right? So within your Google Slides, you would click Save and Go to Nearpod at the bottom of the add-on. You will be redirected to Nearpod. Now, even though you create slides in Google Slides, after you save, and because it has a Nearpod extension, it's going to direct you to the Nearpod website so that you can launch your lesson regardless, okay? So you will go back into the step that I showed you earlier, which would be to hover over the lesson, and then you launch the lesson as a live lesson or a student paced. How to edit. So you can edit your Nearpod lesson from Nearpod or from Google Slides. And I actually gave you the steps for both so that you can see, you can do it in either platform, Google Slides or Nearpod, right? So if you decide to edit your lesson from Nearpod, these are the steps that you would do, right? You're gonna hover over the lesson thumbnail within My Library. You're gonna click Edit, which will redirect you back to Google Slides. You're gonna open the Nearpod add-on, confirm that you'd like to edit your lesson, go to the slide that you'd like to edit, and if the slide is a Nearpod activity or feature, click Edit this slide and begin to edit. So that's if you are going to edit a Nearpod lesson from Nearpod. If you do it directly on Google Slides, then you would go to the presentation, open up the presentation that you want to edit. Again, you will have to open your Nearpod add-on, confirm that you'd like to edit your lesson, go to the slide that you'd like to edit, and if the slide is Nearpod activity or feature, click Edit this slide and begin editing. So that's how you can do it from either platform. Okay. Collaborate. How you're going to collaborate with someone. And this is a great feature. Again, like I said, if the lesson will be saved onto your, if it's a Google slide, it's automatically saved onto your Google Drive. If you created a lesson or got a lesson from the Nearpod website library, then it stays in your Nearpod account. Does that answer your question? So if you created a Google slide and you added Nearpod lessons to it, then it will automatically be saved in your Google Drive. If you are using a lesson from the Nearpod library, then it stays in your Nearpod account and not your Google Drive. All right, so to collaborate with in a lesson, you're welcome, Judith. Within Google Slides, you would click File, click Share, enter the email addresses of the users you like to collaborate with, okay? Ensure that the recipients have editing rights. Very, very important, because if you share this activity with someone and it says view only, the person that you are sharing this with will not be allowed to do anything or help you to modify the lesson. Okay, let me see.
Hello, yeah, what happened?
Okay, so if you collaborate, share with someone on Google Slides, does the teacher have to have a Nearpod to access features? Yes, so they have to have a Nearpod account as well if you are adding Nearpod features onto the lesson. Okay. So once you share and collaborate your slides with someone, make sure that you save and go to Nearpod to ensure that you have the latest version of the lesson before launching the lesson. Okay. So this is great. If, you know, especially I love to work with other teachers, and sometimes I always say two heads is better than two brains. So working with someone else sometimes is wonderful. So if you have connections with teachers in your building, it's great to work on lessons together, because it really, you know, bouncing ideas back and forth with someone is fantastic. I think it's a great way for us to, like, sometimes even think and share our ideas and make a lesson really engaging. If you want to share your lesson from Nearpod, you can also do that as well. So you would go to your library, hover over the lesson, click on the 3 dots, click Share. So I want you to note that this method will share the Nearpod version of the lesson. So the recipients of the lesson will only be able to edit the lesson in Nearpod. So any edits you make to your lesson will not impact the lesson that the recipient has access to. So I want you to make note of that if you're doing or going to share a lesson from Nearpod. Okay. From Google Slides, again, you would do file share and the email addresses. Okay. Flipgrid. Somebody asked me about how to embed Flipgrid with Nearpod. Awesome feature, right? This is great. Nearpod is actually making it easier because now you can embed a Flipgrid lesson into your Nearpod lesson. How great is that? You basically, when you select the activities option, you would select the Flipgrid as an activity, and you would enter in the teacher URL and student URL for your topic of choice. And then within a live lesson, you will see the teacher dashboard, and you can now monitor and moderate the student responses as they are submitted. So basically, you know, the students would respond and you can actually monitor it during your live lesson. Your students will see the topic and can record their video not only in live, but in student-paced lessons as well. Now, this feature is only available in the web browser at this moment. So the students, if they downloaded the Nearpod app, they won't be able to use the Flipgrid option unless they're using it from their web. So just be mindful of that whenever you're presenting and you're asking students to respond to a Flipgrid, that they're using their computer and not any other device. So in order to embed Flipgrid with Nearpod, you need to first create your Flipgrid. Right? So once So you might have a ton of Flipgrid lessons already that you would love to share with your students. Once they're already created, you can embed it now with Nearpod. So I think this is a great feature where you can have everything together in one lesson. So you really can create so many things in one place. So the most fantastic thing about Nearpod, now this was not a feature, and as of August 3rd, so I purposely did Nearpod today because of the fact that the update just came out on August 3rd. You now have the ability to make interactive videos using Nearpod, right? Nearpod or any other platform is always striving to make your experience with its platform better, right? Because they want to keep people using the platform or coming back to use the platform, right? So anyone that has designed a platform is going to always strive to improve and make things better so that they don't lose any of its users. So what Nearpod has done is that it has now added the feature of interactive videos. You can take any video and make it interactive with Nearpod. Get started with YouTube video or one you upload, and then you can add multiple choice and open-ended questions, or search the Nearpod library of standard aligned videos as well. So they have created videos where they are aligned to the standards that you can pick and add questions as well. So when you click on new from the main page, you will now have the option to do a video, which is here. Okay. So that's the newest feature that they have added. Okay. Teacher tip for you guys. When you are doing Nearpod or using Nearpod from the classroom, this is what I would recommend. So when you are teaching a Nearpod lesson to a whole class, if using a smartboard, make sure to log in as a student using the code you provide to your students. If you log in as a teacher, then the students can see who is answering the questions. So you do have the ability to hide names, but students might spend time, kind of trying to figure out who is who and who's doing what. So if you have a laptop, I would sign into your laptop as a teacher and sign in on the smartboard as a student. And then this actually gives the ability for the students to see exactly what the students are seeing. So whatever they are seeing on their screen gives them the ability to see exactly the same thing being projected onto the smartboard. And then some of the slide views on activities differ from student to teacher. So on your end, the slides might look a little bit different than they would for the students. So having it in a student view on the smartboard actually helps the students kind of like be familiar with whatever they are seeing on their actual screen. So I hope that this tip is helpful for you in that sense. And that's a lot of information that I just gave you about Nearpod, okay? So it's basically everything that you can do in a nutshell. So I know I just gave you a lot of things to think about as far as Nearpod. Does anyone have any questions before I go on to my Nearpod account? I know I just gave you a lot of information, so you might have, take some time to really think about what you can do with Nearpod. So let me take you to Nearpod. I actually have it here bookmarked. So it's going to ask me to log in with Google. So pick my account. Okay. And these are some of the things that I have on here already. Okay. I don't know if you have ever heard of bell ringers. That's something that we can do. I've heard about it, really kind of to get the class engaged. You can spark discussion with Collaborate. This is the feature that you would kind of engage the students to collaborate on a question, kind of like to begin your lesson, right? Yep. You know, do now, warm up, anything that you want. So this is a lesson that I actually found in the library. So I want to show you what it looks like. So you can preview a lesson before you actually share it with the students. So it tells you which teacher created the lesson, and you can preview it, right? I can edit if I wanted to. So when you preview, it tells you, it actually gives you the standards, that what the students will be, or the objectives that they expect at the end of the lesson, which is great, right? It's all there for you. So this is a great way for you to kind of like play around with the lessons that are already designed before you create your own. So this specific teacher created a poll for the students where they're going to answer a question, and it will give her information as to how the students answer the questions. And then here's, it takes you to the poll, right? And then a rainbow after a storm. Is it a, you know, the students would have to pick complete sentence, incomplete, and it basically goes into it. And then she goes into, let's review what a complete sentence is. They're going to draw which one is correct. So this is the drawing feature. They would just circle which would be the correct sentence. Here again, circle the complete sentence. Here, it's going to be, remember how now it's hard, right, to do think, peer, and share, because you're going to be 6 feet apart, and unless you're screaming over a mask, this is going to be very difficult to do. Nearpod allows you to embed these think, peer, share options into your lessons, right? It's great. I love how you can really incorporate a lot of the features that will be hard to do with a mask on. So you have the think, pair, share, right? And you're going to think about it. You're going to kind of talk, you know, talk. It would be nice if we could talk with our partner, but you basically will then share your thoughts on here. And then you have the quiz option. Start a quiz, right? I've taught you the lesson. Now I'm going to see if what you've learned and you understand what I've taught you. Okay? And it goes through the slides like that. And then there's an open-ended question, okay, where they would have to type, and then that's it, right? So this is a lesson that I found in the library. So here is my library where I have my lessons, right? So this is a lesson that I created for you in the presentation. So I had the open-ended question, and I had a quiz question for you, right, where I asked a question. Obviously, I can pick more, right, whenever I design a lesson. And then here is a lesson that I created. Looking peer share happen over chat on WebEx or directly on Nearpod. I would do it over the WebEx if you're doing the virtual. So here in the library, this is where now you have the options for lessons, if you're looking for lessons, or if you're looking for videos. Okay. So you have all of these videos that you can, you know, they have. It tells you what grade level. You can actually pick what grades you want, what type of resource you want. You can do warm-ups, science, math, social studies. You can pick the standards by state. So we're in New Jersey, and then you pick which subject you want. Okay. And these are your lessons. Right? So if you want to see everything like that. You can clear the standards. You can do English language arts, and it has all, see, it has all of the lessons that you can do. Here's a warm up for ELA and math, 3rd grade math and ELA, poetry, kindergarten, 2nd grade, 5th grade, warm up activities for 6th through 8th grade. Basically, you know, you can go through all of these and really just explore. If you want to make it your own, then you have to follow those steps to really do your own Nearpod lesson. So here, this is where you would click if you want to do it from here, or you can do it from here, lessons in Google Slides. If you click that, it's going to take you back to your Google Slides, right? And this is where you would do it. So it gives you a note, Nearpod slides cannot be copied and pasted. So if you have created a lesson, or you found a lesson in Nearpod and you want to bring it to your Google Slides, you can't copy it and paste it onto yours. You would just have to use the features that are there. So from here, I would click, oh, they've actually added all of these things on here. Cool. This was not here, so they must have updated it recently. So
That's what I was talking about, Sylvia, when I went in, all those drop downs.
they must have just added it.
Yeah.
Because it was not there yesterday. So these
That's
are,
good.
yeah, so these are all the things that you can pick. You can add audio to your slides. You can do a draw slide where you would have children circle things, fill in the blanks, and the Flipgrid, right? A memory matching. So these are all the things that you can do. I would explore the features and the lessons that are already created, because there's a ton of great ones for free. So really to get used to how to create a Nearpod lesson, what features to use in your Nearpod lessons. So I wanted to show you the Nearpod so like the different plans and pricings and what you can do. So here in the silver, which is the free, right, is you have 40 students, you have 20 formative assessments, you can make existing PowerPoints using Google, you have all the pre-made interactive lessons, you can flex between school and home learning with 3 teaching modes, front of class, live participation, and self-paced. So you can actually do the self-paced, which is new, right? They added that. Launch a lesson with Zoom. Unfortunately, we can't do that because we're not allowed to use Zoom. You can access community support. You can't do the live chat, and you can't get the customer service or any of that. But you can have up to 40 students in a session. Okay, so that's great, all for free. So you basically have a lot of free features that you can use Nearpod. So the gold, that's when you add the live chat and support, you know, really, and you get 10 more extra students. The premium, that's when you have, you know, again, almost everything that you have with the free one, except you have the ability to have more students. But I honestly think with the free, there's so many things that you can do. I think it's more than enough. You know, I think it's fabulous just to use the free stuff and go from there. I know it would be nice that they have a district membership. Okay. So, okay, are the videos part of the free silver account? So it says, for existing PowerPoints, YouTube, or video files, interactive. I'm wondering, let's see, when we click on here, so add-ons, Nearpod, and let's see if we click field trip. It does, it lets us do it. We can pick a field trip. We can go to Greece. We can go to the Great Wall of China. We can go to Sydney's Opera House. So they have a lot of things here. The pyramids, the reef, Mexico, Washington. So there's a couple of places we can go to. So let's see if we pick Greece and click done. Let's see if it adds it. It does. It adds it to our site. So we're able to use it. So I guess anything that is on here, we should be able to use because it's letting us use it. So, and if we do draw feature, so you would click, upload a background image and the instructions. You can do that and add timers. Yeah, so it's really cool. Like, I know that it's hard to explain everything, and I think you won't really know what you're going to stumble into until you really try for yourself, right? So I think this is really a cool feature, like maybe as a prize for students at the end of the week, let's take a trip, somewhere, and then we can add questions to the field trip and do all those things. So I think it's, really nice that they have these options and that they're allowing us to use it for free. So it's really up to you how you want to use it and how you explore, the Nearpod features. So you can do it from here, right? And then you would save and go to Nearpod if that's all you want to do. And then it's going to save it here, right? It's always going to direct you to your Nearpod account. That's why I say you have to create. It seems like it's 40 per lesson, unless I read it wrong. Yeah, so let's see, is it 40 students at a time per lesson? So let me see, let me go back. So it says 40 students per session. So that means that you can have as many students come on, you just can't have more than 40 at one time. I mean, I don't think we're gonna have more than 40 students at one time anyway. So if that's the case, if you do have more than 40 students, I would just break it up into 2 sessions as opposed to 1, if you have more than 40. And then I think we can go, so the videos. I think, Linda, you asked about the videos. You can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, I had asked about the videos. So are we only limited then to the videos that are on there, or can we get other videos from online from YouTube?
So you can, yeah, you can get videos from YouTube.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so it says it here. So you can make existing PowerPoint, Google Slides, or YouTube videos or video files interactive. So it's part of the free account as well. So if you go to YouTube video, you can actually put it onto there. Mm-hmm. So as a free account, I think we can actually do a lot with Nearpod, right? So it's gonna take a while for it to save it because it's probably a long field trip. And then once it's saved, you can actually share it with your students. I haven't explored every feature for Nearpod. I haven't really dived into every specific thing that you can do. Again, I have to explore what all the things have. So there's a lot on here. Okay. Go ahead.
are we able to use the YouTube if elementary is concerned? Because, you know, it wouldn't let us use YouTube with the elementary students.
Right. So, and I reached out to Abdullah about that. Unfortunately, it's not even a tech. He let me know that it's not a tech issue, it's a security issue. So as long as you are doing, I would do YouTube videos where you are sharing it in a live lesson. So as long as you are sharing it, the students will be able to see it.
Okay.
It just would not do it as an independent lesson. Does that make sense? So unfortunately, he said it's not something that he has control over. It's a district policy because of security. So he said, unfortunately, they won't be able to add it because of security reasons for the elementary level. And it's more of like security as opposed to an IT problem.
All right, then. Thank you.
No problem.
Does each session get a new code?
Yes. Yes. So every time you share it, you'll get a new code.
So Sylvia, when you create the Bitmoji in your classroom and you might add a link and it's from YouTube, a child won't be able to click on that and go to.
If they are using any other device that is not NPS device, they will be able to see it.
Oh.
But if they're using a Chromebook, because of security reasons, they will not be able to watch anything that is from YouTube on a Chromebook.
So if they click that link, nothing will happen.
Yeah, it won't allow them to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did reach out to him about that issue and that concern brought up by a couple of teachers. And I said, is there something that he would be able to assist us with? And he said, unfortunately, it's not even an IT problem. It's something that comes from the district as a security. So the only students that have access to YouTube are the high school students, and our students would have access to anything that is on YouTube if they use a device that is not NPS. So if they're using their mom's laptop or dad's laptop, they'll be able to access anything. Unfortunately, if you're going to access something on an NPS device, they're going to block it. And unfortunately, he said he can't do anything about it. Okay. So it's going to take some time here to actually load this, but you know, here's the lesson that I had already created, and I kind of embedded some Nearpod slides in there. So this is a lesson that I created, and I then added the Nearpod. So slide here, they have to match. So I spoke to them about the past participle, and basically in this lesson here, in this slide, the students have to actually pick the verb in the present and then match it to the verb in the past. So here's a matching game, right, that they have to do. I don't know why it took me there. Sorry. Let me go back. So let me preview again. So that was one of the things that I embedded into that slide. And then I spoke to them about verbs. And I can add more interactive slides on here. I just wanted you to see what you can do by adding a Nearpod slide to a slide that you already generated. So you can go and add stuff, okay? And if I want to edit, I can just click here, edit, and it's going to take me back to my Google Slides, right? Because it was created, it's a Google slide. And then I can add more Nearpod activities to this actual lesson if I wanted to. Okay. Does that make sense? So it's really about just, you know, playing with the add-ons and doing the, which, you know, picking the features that you would like. Field trips, the Flipgrid, you can just click on here. I wonder, the 3D. Okay, so look at all of the 3D things that you can do. This is great for science. So here's amazing places, right? You can do Earth, the black hole, so the Eiffel Tower, all of the different planets, and they get to see it in 3D. Like this is a great thing to do for September 11, right? The Twin Towers, and kind of, you know, give them something to remember about and talk about that. So I embedded it into this lesson here. And now when I share my lesson, this will come up and they will be able to see the Twin Towers in a 3-dimensional mode. So this is a great feature that you can use with your students, right? It's free, which is great. So a lot of teachers that I follow on Instagram were raving about Nearpod and how great it is to use in the classroom. So this is why I wanted to share it with you, and basically just, you know, play around with it, play around with the lessons, play around with creating your lessons, and then see how it, what it does for you, how it works. Look at the library, and you can get a better idea of how to use Nearpod. But that's as far as I have in terms of Nearpod. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have a question, but is related to the certificate. I attended 2 workshops in addition to today, but I did not register in the Google. I saw the code you gave me. It's possible that if I log on, I can get for those 2 days. That was the one of yesterday and the Flipgrid on 30th of July.
So if you didn't fill out the attendance sheet, then I didn't know that you attended. Like I said, it's hard to remember everybody that attended. So if you did not get a certificate and you attended the live workshop, just send me an email. That's why I say it's always important for everyone to fill out the attendance sheet, and that's why I post the attendance on the Google Classroom so that people can see who I have registered, and if your name was not there, that you can let me know. So if you attended a workshop, just send me an email. Now, I didn't create the certificates for yesterday. I have created certificates up until July 23rd.
Okay.
So anything for last week or this week, I have not generated yet.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Let's see. So I think there was somebody that had a question about getting the attendance sheet. I think it was Joelle. Okay, so Joelle, when you go onto the Google Classroom, I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see what it looks like. So if you are part of the Google Classroom, when you come on here, so as soon as you go into the Google Classroom, on the main page here on the left-hand side, you're going to see attendance. Okay?
Yes.
So you're going to click here. When you click on it, it's going to take you to a distance learning workshop sign-in sheet.
Okay.
Click the sign-in sheet and then fill out the information.
Thank you. I have a question.
Sure.
With the video you sent us in the slideshow for this distance learning, will we be able to create sign-in sheets? I know we're doing regular attendance, but will we be able to do this for our students also?
You can generate Google Forms for your students as well.
Cool. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay.
It's very important that if you do attend a live workshop that you fill out the attendance sheet, because like I said, it's so hard to keep track of everyone that comes on unless you fill out an attendance sheet. So I have had teachers that have said, I couldn't get on or I couldn't figure it out. That's okay. Like just send me an email. But again, you only get a certificate if you attend the live workshops. Okay, so you'll have until the end of the day to fill out the attendance sheet. You don't have to do it right now. So as long as you do it by the end of the day, you'll be fine. Okay. Okay, so Anita, I just showed the attendance sheet. If you go into the Google Classroom, right on the stream, in the stream on the front page. So if you're looking at my screen, I'll share it again. Anita, if you are on here.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, so here on the left-hand side where it says due today, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, it says here attendance for August 5th.
Okay.
You're gonna click on that.
Okay. Okay.
And then
I missed someone, so I never did it before. Okay, but it's fine. I do today.
All right. So let's see. Melissa, how many workshop certificates should we have if we attended all of them so far? So you should have one, you should have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No. I participate, I think so, 3 or 4. Not too many one because I have issue in the family, and that's one.
All right, so I have already sent out 9 certificates so far. Okay, so what you should have gotten certificates up until July 23rd.
Okay.
Okay, so just check. I sent them out yesterday. Where do you print the certificate? You can print it. So when you
I thought if we participator over here and then made a contact with you to the charts, is that enough for we can be proving we are in the workshop? I don't have idea with because I will be contact with you through the workshop and not for putting email, you know what I mean? The sign attendance sheets. So, but I did it yesterday, and then that's what I look for today to doing again. But I have a question for you about Dojo.
Yeah, I saw your email. So my recommendation, and I was actually going to respond about Class Dojo. So I would confirm with your principal or your VP what platform they want you to use for the school year, because I wouldn't want you to have to learn a platform that you're not going to really use, right?
Oh,
So
that's why she told me.
Oh, she told you you're going to be using Class Dojo?
Yes, that's why I need to learn it because I'm in transfer for other school, and that's the problem.
And you're going to be using Class Dojo for everything to
Well,
send out
the
work?
last time I contacted her when she's asked me to go, you know, she invited me to go to her school, as was July, begin July.
I thank everyone for coming on. I hope that I gave you a little bit of an insight to what Nearpod can do and how you can utilize it in your classroom. So if you don't have any other questions, you are free to go. I hope that you enjoy your day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So remember, tomorrow is our last workshop for the summer. I will be giving you, posting a feedback form in the Google Classroom for you guys to fill out to provide some feedback for me as far as the workshops. Okay, so thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.